Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wyndham Raymond School District Board of Directors meeting. Today is Wednesday, September 7th, 2022. The time is 6:30, and we are meeting in Wyndham Town Chambers in Wyndham. May I have a roll call, please?
Sure. Kate Bricks.
Here.
Jessica Bridges.
Here.
Jenny Butler.
Here.
Jody Carroll.
Here.
Marge Gavoni.
Here.
Pete Hensler.
Here.
Char Jewell.
Here.
Kate Levier.
Here.
Scott McLean.
Thank you. Will you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Howe, any adjustments to the agenda?
No adjustments other than I need to call Al Potter's name for attendance. So Al Potter.
Present.
It's now official.
Good.
Good. We're going to move into public input, and this is the beginning of a new year, and I thought it'd be helpful to review the rules for public participation. We certainly appreciate when you attend. We wish to provide opportunities for citizens to express their interests, concerns, and suggestions. The board conducts these meetings to carry out official business of the schools. These meetings are not public forums. For those who are not comfortable speaking in this venue, we're always available to provide answers to your questions or concerns. You can pick up the phone, email, call the superintendent, send us an email. We really welcome your interest. The following guidelines are based on our policy BEDH, public participation at board meetings. All of our policies can be located on our webpage under the board tab. Each person will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes. We have a timekeeper right next to me who will keep track. It feels harsh to cut off people at the 3-minute mark, but we want to be consistent for all the folks who want to speak and are mindful of the time needed for our board agenda. I know everyone will be respectful of the time limits. Public comment is not an opportunity for an interactive exchange with the administration or board members. The board is interested in what you have to say and will listen and consider all comments, but there will be no direct response to you at the meeting. Hang on, just a little bit more. This is not the place to discuss individual staff members, students, or anyone connected to the school system. Should you have concerns, we have a policy KED, public complaints about school personnel, which outlines our process for dealing with complaints and staff. Gossip, defamatory comments, and abusive, vulgar, or threatening language are not permitted. And the chair has the prerogative to stop public comment if this rule is violated or will violate the privacy interests of any individual. Thanks, everyone, for following these guidelines. For those who wish to speak, if you would please come to the podium and state your name and the town you reside in. Okay.
It's on the right side.
Good.
Good evening. I'm Rebecca Cole. I teach first grade at Wyndham Primary School. I'm also a resident of Wyndham, president of Sebago East Shore EA and NEA Board of Directors. I just wanted to thank everyone here in the room, in the community, for their support of our public schools coming into an extraordinary, in a good way for once, beginning of a new school year. I won't name anyone specifically, but we've had great leadership to guide us through the last few years. We've had wonderful community support. It's been so wonderful to have children gathered on the carpet again in my classroom at my feet while we share a story, or in a circle while we have our morning meeting. And I know that my colleagues feel the same way. So from just happy messages and offers of supplies and other support. I just wanted to let everyone know that we really, really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to a wonderful year together with all of our young people. So thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? You sure?
We're new here, so.
Well, we welcome you. Thank you for coming.
One month into Maine, so.
Excellent. Welcome to Maine. It's a great place to be. I'm going to close public input, and now we'll go into the superintendent's report.
Sure. So I just want to jump off of actually what Ms. Cole talked about, which is that we have had a wonderful opening of school. And we did return this year back to our traditional opening of school, which is having all RSU 14 staff attending opening day ceremonies in the auditorium at Wyndham High School. kicked off, as has been done for the last 31 years, with the Wyndham Chamber Singers having the opportunity to sing several numbers for staff. And really a great theme this year about reminding everybody, first of all, you know what, everyone in RSU 14, regardless of your background or who you are, that you're welcome. We're going to work with you, and we're going to work as hard as possible to make sure that you're successful. And they kicked us off with that theme. We had the opportunity to recognize staff for years of longevity. It was fun to be able to recognize Bill Westcott for 45 years of service to RSU 14. 45 years all in the same school building, which
crazy.
is such a rarity with any sort of professional positions, to see someone who sticks around for that length of time. So it was wonderful to be able to recognize, but also recognize those individuals with 10, 15, 20, 25, and 35 years of service. And then we jumped up to Bill with the 45. I also had the opportunity to share with the district our goals for the year, and tonight, as one of our agenda items, we'll have the opportunity to share some of the work that's been identified out of the 2021 strategic plan, and kind of a general theme of where we're going to be at. But ultimately, my message was we have a wonderful opportunity to welcome students back, and to recognize that students all had very, very different experiences as we went through the pandemic, and that the importance of that relationship between a teacher and a student opens the door so that high-quality instruction can take place. So we talked about that. We also talked about the importance of making sure that our instruction is the best it can be, and looking at an instructional framework that's common across the district, so that learning targets are clear, kids are often getting feedback that we're taking care of the needs of all students, and that we're setting that goal of that bar of high achievement for students. But that doesn't happen unless you have a relationship. And so we talked about that. We talked about coming out of a pandemic, and all of us having, again, different experience with that, and recognizing as our kids walk through the door, we need to take them where they're at, and we need to move them as far as we can as we go through that process. And I think you'll see that in the strategic plan tonight, some of the elements that we talked about. Just having the chance to go around the district for the start, first of all, it's been great to visit classrooms, and as Ms. Cole talked about, having kids on the rug all together. I sat with a group of 6 first graders this morning working on some identity clouds, telling us who they were as learners, and telling us what their favorite food was, their favorite colors, working on their writing skills, the excitement, but just seeing kids working productively around a table facing each other with a lot of excitement and a lot of energy was a bunch of fun. So just a great positive feel, not starting the year with masks and safety precautions. We've had a few COVID cases, but not very many, and we seem to be in a good spot at the moment with that. I just want to give the board an update. We are up 25 students from the last time that we talked, majority of those being at Manchester and Wyndham Middle School. So we're up 9 at Manchester, up 12 at Wyndham Middle School, and then up a few at Wyndham High School, and then just kind of a smattering. I think Wyndham Primary School was up just 1 student from where we were 2 weeks ago. So we are seeing some new students. As we pay attention, obviously, with enrollments and the process here of building a new school, it will be interesting to see. I think I read a Facebook post about new apartments by where Ward Road comes out, or is that Pope Road comes out?
Page.
Okay.
That's up the street from Page. Actually, they're in a few places.
There's a whole bunch of housing that's coming.
I'm sorry, but they're on 115.
There's housing that's coming everywhere, and new developments, and looking at our current capacity. Yes, we have some at the moment, but we're seeing numbers. We're seeing kids move. We're also seeing a very large number of students who are transferring in from neighboring districts. So it's great to see. It's great to be growing. However, that presents some other challenges. We still have some staffing needs. One being, and if anybody's listening tonight and has this for a skill set, Christine was in a problem-solving meeting. The security company that we use for our one crossing guard at Manchester no longer exists. So we're in the process of trying to replace that position. For those of you familiar with North Wyndham, trying to get buses out during those heavy times where there's already heavy traffic and Maine DOT not wanting us to put in lights. Christine attended a problem-solving meeting with Chief Schofield in Manchester this afternoon while we were in facilities and working on not only a short-term plan but a long-term plan. We could still use 8 or so educational technicians. So if anyone has ed tech certification and would love to come and work with us and play, we will definitely take that. Kitchen staff, some bakers, some kitchen helpers. We could use that. Board members who've been around for a while know our meal counts are way up based on the free meals. So we want to make sure that we are fully staffed for that. Jeannie is feeling the crunch of preparing all those extra meals. In addition, if anybody out there has professional driving skills and would like to do some athletic trips, we are in need of individuals who have their bus certification who can help us out with the multiple trips that are going on each and every day. We do have a couple coaches that are having to drive for golf. I think golf right now currently is the ones. Ski will still be in this winter. We'd like to replace that with a driver, but we will wait and see what happens with that. Just speaking of fall athletics, things are off and running. Facilities had a meeting tonight, had a chance to walk the campus. It's just great to see so many people out. I'm just thinking of a couple years ago where we couldn't have fans, and now not only to have fans, but have a lot of fans, and to see a lot of people out. Football game Friday night was well attended, and it's just great to see the community coming out supporting teams. I think we had a soccer game going on the stadium tonight as well. Just a reminder for the community, even though you do not have students in athletics, it's a great family event to go out and support and cheer on our Wyndham and Raymond students. And then as we head into the fall with, I think, Little Shop of Horrors that the theater group is doing, great opportunity to come out, see some kids, see some great theater, and see those things going on. I'm going to close with one item in my report tonight, which is the free and reduced lunch forms. For last year, lunches were free and breakfast was free. This year, lunches are free and breakfast is free. Last year, the cafeteria could just simply check off. 80 kids came through the line and it was 80 check boxes. That federal waiver is gone. Maine has a waiver. And with the Maine waiver, we still have to collect data who is eligible for free and reduced lunch. It will still be free if you don't do the form. You still will receive free lunch and free breakfast. However, not having that form and not having that data, that percentage of students who are eligible for free and reduced impacts things like Title I funding, which is funding that we receive to support students in interventions. It also, in some cases, impacts grant funding. Sometimes it impacts federal relief dollars because often those monies go towards districts that are shown to have greater financial or poverty need. In addition, there are grants out there that if you do not have a certain free and reduced percentage, you're automatically disqualified from the grant. Typically, that is about a 50% cutoff, which we've not hit. There have been some which had a 35% cutoff. If we're not collecting those numbers, then we also possibly with some grants may not be able to be eligible. So I know Ms. Riley through the Wyndham Raymond Nutrition page has been sending out forms. I know that's also gone out via listserv. We'll continue to do that push to make sure that we have the opportunity to collect as many of those forms as we possibly can. Super easy for parents to do. You can do it online, but ultimately it will impact. We don't know what the future will hold for free breakfast, free lunch, and we may return to a point where it's not universal. We'll have to wait and see with that. But again, if people can get in their forms, that'd be great. But it's been a great start to the year. It has a very different feel, a very different vibe as you're walking the campus and walking buildings, and it's just been a great way to start. So we are off and running, and September is already a quarter over. So things are moving.
Perfect. Thank you. Board roundtable. Anyone have anything they'd like to share?
I will echo what Mr. Howell said about the opening day and what Ms. Cole said. It truly seemed like it was back to normal. As a former employee for many, many, many years, the highlight of the new year was always being together, first in the middle school and then in the high school auditorium, to see everyone from different departments and also hear and see our students perform in the Chamber Singers. I may not teach here anymore, but there's still lots of neighbor kids that are, it's wonderful to see them, and Dr. Nickerson with the group. It's truly an amazing morning and very inspirational words, and everyone was thrilled that it was back to normal.
Perfect.
We've discussed this before, but it's been a while, so I can't remember. But I've had a few people ask me if or why not we do not broadcast our meetings on Facebook. There are a lot of people now who do not have regular TV. They just don't have it. So if they don't come here, they're not going to be able to watch the meeting. So I remember we discussed it quite a while ago, and I cannot remember why we decided not to do it. So
Yep, I can give you the summary from when we looked at it last, and happy to look at it again. But the previous time we looked at it, there was the ability with the Facebook stream for people to do a running commentary and to add their own personal comments. In essence, they would be creating a public forum in which we would be broadcasting, and anybody could say whatever they wanted about an individual. And since it's our broadcast, you potentially could have individuals who are making comments about employees that don't follow your policy. And so that at the time was the reason why. It was just because there was no way to shut that feature off, where whether someone gave me the devil face or the smiley face or whatever stream was going on or comments, that you were in essence potentially violating your policy.
can we check again? Only because I know, because now, what is it, Meta owns it, so maybe the rules have changed a bit anyway. So I agree with you. I remember that now. It was kind of like if we could turn the comments off, it would be fine, because we want people to be able to see, but if they're going to speak, they really should be here so everybody else can do it.
Isn't there a link, though, to the broadcast? Like, it's right on our agenda, a link to the live broadcast. Wouldn't that
Yeah, I think you
essentially be
can
the same
stream it
as
through the
Facebook?
town website.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd have to on there, yeah.
I mean, if they have the internet for Facebook, wouldn't they be able to stream it that way?
I don't know,
Yeah.
I'm always here.
Right.
I've never had
Lamar, Jazz and I.
I haven't had to try that, as we all sit here.
But it just might be something to offer them
will-
as a solution. Just say that there
Well,
is a link
I want someone,
there
I'll have
to
someone try it first to make sure it
Yeah.
works.
Possible.
Things don't know, it does
Yeah,
work.
I think it works.
Yeah, okay.
And just to be clear, if you can't watch it live, we do post it on our website. All of the videos of the meetings are posted on our website, so you can go back the next day
Well,
and,
I don't think it goes on that quick.
well, you can go,
Let's not say that.
all right, let's not slice and dice. You can go back and watch it.
Yeah.
Because it is posted. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll just add a PSA that now that school is in session, traffic is different. So just I encourage everybody to be aware of the buses, be aware of the red stoplights, be aware of the school zones. It's nice to see that we've added the little signs as you're exiting the campus on Stadium Drive to remind people that that's a school zone during certain hours. So yeah, watch out, there's kids on the side of the road.
Can I add on to
Sure,
that?
absolutely.
Yeah, because I think we probably all have, but I've gotten phone calls on that before. It's kind of like, how come your buses can't pull over to the side, et cetera. My thing is this is something we do all year. Our bus schedule does not vary. It remains the same. So if there are people that need to get to work, my suggestion is you leave a little earlier. I'm not trying to tell people what to do with their life, but we cannot change the buses. The buses are what they are. They're going to stop where they stop. And the law is, and for the safety of all of our students, and I think we've all seen it on the news multiple times, and it keeps continuing to happen, people passing stop school buses. We do not want anything to happen to anybody's child, so please stop for that stop sign and the lights when they come off, no matter which way you're going. That's it.
Thank you. Not to be redundant, it was a great opening day. The energy was so different and so great, and everybody looked so fresh. They just looked energized, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful event to have everybody once a year in the auditorium. Jeannie did a great job. There was a breakfast beforehand, and she always does a bang-up job. And our superintendent gave a great opening speech, and I love the fact that we acknowledge the new employees too. To make them feel welcome into the school culture, and it's just really nice. Each name is called, and they come down and they get a bag, and it really is a lovely welcome to the district. And again, all of the Bill Westcott, 45 years, but so many other staff members who have been here for quite a few years that were acknowledged. And then again, I think that's just really a wonderful part of our culture, that we acknowledge the longevity of our staff and the accomplishments and what they provide to the district. So it was really, I think it was the first time we had been in the auditorium in a couple of years, 2 years. Last year we were outside, so.
2019.
2019. So it felt great. It felt great. I just have one other thing that I want to mention specifically to the board, is that the Maine School Board conference is coming up, and it's October 27th and 28th. It's a 2-day event up at Augusta Civic Center. Haven't had it. I think they did Zoom maybe last year, but haven't had it for obvious reasons in person. But I've been many, many years, and they have great speakers, and then they have breakouts that are very valuable, and you can bring back some great information to the board. In addition to that, as you recall, for those of you who were here last year, we had a session that we discussed the resolutions that come before the board, the Maine School Management Board, and we as a board review the different resolutions, and then we vote on a delegate to represent us at that meeting, and they will vote on our behalf. So coming up probably in October, I've got the list, and it's not as extensive as last year, and I think instead of reading all of them like we did last year, I'm going to recommend that y'all just read them on your own, and then we'll come to the meeting, and if you have any questions or objections or suggestions, we can deal with it at that point. And that will be the marching orders for the delegate who, let's see, October 22nd, whoever is selected as our delegate, it's a Saturday, at 9:30, they will meet via Zoom. So all the different districts in the state will have a representative, and we'll meet on that day, and we'll vote on the resolutions. And then our delegate will come back and report to us what the outcome it was of all of those resolutions. So I just wanted to put that on your radar screen. And other than that, I don't have anything else. Anyone else? Yep.
I just had one thing that I came across. Just want to make people aware of an overdose recognition and response Narcan training that's happening in the community on September 23rd. It'll be at 7:30 in the morning. It's at the Wyndham Veterans Center. It's through the Options Program. And there'll be a hands-on CPR training as well done by the Deputy Chief. It's a collaborative effort between Chamber of Commerce, Be the Influence, Rotary Club, and the Wyndham Fire and Rescue. And so you can reach out to Be the Influence. The director there is Laura Morris. And I believe the goal of that is just to give people who are in workplace environments or in their own home and they feel that they may be in an environment where they could recognize or intervene on someone's behalf. And I believe there'll be Narcan samples as well that people can have after that training. Just want to put that out there. That's all I had.
Perfect timing with our second vote. Yes.
Just real quick, my usual mantra of have you talked to your child's teachers yet? We're in the second week of school, and I have not reached out to Phoebe's teachers yet because I'm trying to give them some breathing room at the beginning of the school year, but she is reporting that she's very happy with her teachers this year in her classes, so that's a good feeling as a mom. But, you know, we have to partner with staff and teachers. We just have to. It doesn't do the children any good if we're at odds or don't understand the other's position, so we have to have conversations. And then my other note, Chris, to get back to what you were saying about things that, about employment opportunities and things, I might suggest that you send out something via email that of stuff like supplies that the different schools need, or volunteer opportunities, or employment opportunities, things like that. And then people could copy and paste, put on their social media, encourage people to do that. I think that might be a good idea to provide more reach for the message. And that's it, thanks.
Perfect. Anyone else? Nope. Okay, next, item 9, facilities update. Is my distinct pleasure to invite Bill Hanson to, did I skip?
Yeah.
I did. I'm so anxious to have you come up. Finance, anything. Sit back down.
You watch, we're not gonna have any reports. No, finance doesn't have anything.
This is what I mean. How about facilities for middle school?
Sure. So I'm just trying to think of where to start here. Everyone knows we're doing a construction project at the moment. We are at a phase right now where we have submitted some information to the Maine Department of Education, and we are waiting for a meeting to be scheduled with the Department of Education team. I'm going to start again. Thank you, Al.
It's not just me.
You are a good man, Al. You're a good man. I missed you this summer. Where was I? For school construction. We've at a point now where quite a bit of geotechnical testing was done over the summer on 61 Wyndham Center Road. PFAS testing was done. We've had some great data that's come back where it's a great site as far as all those geotechnical things. We are waiting. We've submitted that data to Maine Department of Education. We are waiting for a meeting to be scheduled with the school construction team. Once that meeting is scheduled, then we'll have the opportunity to come back to the greater construction committee for RSU 14 and talk about next steps that have been assigned to us and be able to work through next in the process. Just also want to mention that we are in the process of scheduling a community night for people to come and ask questions about the project, get an update. I mean, board members and those who watch board meetings have been well informed, and right now I was looking at calendar today, probably looking at that last week of September to try to figure in a night. So we'll be getting that information out as soon as possible, and so that we can provide that opportunity. But we do not have, I believe, the next construction meeting settled yet. We're waiting again for some of that additional data, but everything from the summer is looking great.
Chris, where do we stand with the enrollment projection study?
Still have not received it.
Oh, gee.
And I will tell you that other projects that are involved with the same organization doing enrollment studies who started earlier than us are just getting their studies. And we know that that part's being done. So it has not been a surprise in the construction meetings where we're at, but
how big of a piece will that play? Is that going to delay things? I mean, because when we're trying to figure out the size, the future needs of the district.
yeah, and right now where we're at is the building's being designed for 1,200 for 300 per grade level, which will give us some excess capacity at the moment. Into the future, though, what the 10-year outlook is, that's what we're looking for in that study. So, not seen it yet. We should have our second appraisal of the property soon, and that will also get us kind of an understanding of if that's the will of the board to move forward with 61 Wyndham Center Road, of the $1.5 million, how much will the state pay for? And right now, if I had to guess, and don't hold me to this, probably going to be the 1.1 to 1.2 would be covered by state funds. The rest would be local additional. So we'll wait and see what happens with that next one. But I know that work has been completed, and the organization doing that is finishing up the report.
All right, thank you.
Policy is meeting on Monday, so I don't have anything to report. Curriculum?
Curriculum is meeting on Monday.
Okay. Technology?
The technology team met on August 23rd. Right now, the team's focused on technology policies and those that are needing to be reviewed because they're out of date. Some of them are talking about handheld devices from 2010 and some of the language there. And it's fair to say that we have a number of policies that are used in different ways, and so the team went through a handful of them, and we agreed to go back to some of the legal counsel, some of the projections that came out and advisements from a summit earlier last year, and we'll get back together next week to take a look. It was just, we had a few that needed a sidebar, get some more information, and see what kind of information would be valuable to send over to the policy committee.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you. Adult ed? I keep looking at you, and I know it's not you. It's you.
That's okay. The fall booklet of all of the programming arrived in our mailboxes last week-ish, and lots of wonderful offerings. It looks great. So I suggest to everyone get an opportunity to try something new. They're always looking for various instructors for other kinds of offerings, but it looks like it's going to be a wonderful fall.
Terrific. Thank you. Anything, Marge, for vocational? You know I'm going to ask.
I know. You're going to keep asking. The
will.
vocational schools will not be having a meeting till October. So
Do you not want me to ask anymore?
No, but that's just a heads up, so the next time I can say
What if
pass.
something pops up?
Then, that's right.
Okay.
Then we'd have to report.
All right. Last but not least, Al Potter.
Yes, it is absolutely wonderful to be back. It's actually like a normal year at the high school, which is super cool considering I haven't had a normal year since freshman year, and even that was like halfway normal.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. The school is absolutely packed. I think there's like 275 new freshmen.
Oh, wow.
So like your lunch is it's a hard time moving around and during lunch. It's crazy. But the senior class is working on a cool fundraiser. We're partnering with Aroma Joe's to come out with a custom energy drink. So that will help support both our class to the future and possibly classes below us.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'll let you know when more information on that comes out.
Perfect. Thank you.
Where are we with Quiz Bowl?
There is a tournament the end of this month, and then quiz show. I do not know when that starts, but that's a fall show. So hopefully in the next couple of months.
You'll keep us updated.
Absolutely. Promise.
Thank you. I feel like I need a drum roll now. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Bill Hansen, Director of Facilities, Property Services, and Special Projects, who has expertise that we could not live without. This district could not live without Bill Hansen. And so I welcome you to
Great.
talk about facilities.
It's great to be here. You're too kind. So it was a busy summer. I could spend a lot of time talking about all the things that happened. I don't want to take up your time with all that tonight. I'm just talk about some of the real highlights, and I encourage you to get out and see some of the things that occurred, some of the changes. So first and foremost, I need to really thank my staff, because I think each year Bill asks for a little bit more, and then I reach a little bit more, and there's one more thing. And there's always that one more thing. We have time to do one more thing before school starts. And oh, by the way, we forgot about this. We'll add this too, right? So one more thing gets added. And the staff continues to rise to the occasion and get stuff done. And I know Chris went through Field Allen, which we did a major renovation this summer. And 2 weeks before, I was thinking, there's no way we're getting this done. I was waking up in the middle of the night, not sleeping, worrying, this is not going to happen. The place was turned upside down and nowhere near ready. And I encourage you to walk through the building. You haven't been in there. It's in a remarkable space now. And in 2009, when I first started here, it was a challenging building that was really tired. And with the support of the school board and some really great projects, we've made it into a really nice learning environment. So I think we're kidding tonight that the teachers in that building will actually see a change when they go to the middle school. The classrooms might actually get smaller. So. It was a great project. It really was. I think it's going to be a long-lasting, make that building long-lasting for us. And we did everything from the roots all the way up through. So we found places when we took the old ceiling down, there was no insulation. Hence, I had problems heating those spaces in the wintertime. Now I know why. We removed wiring that was put in the 40s. So it's all new wiring inside the building. So the building's been refreshed and will serve us for a long time. So I'm really, really pleased with that. With the real push of Christine, and I can say that with you sitting right here, we managed to install 52 BenQ boards in 52 educational spaces. So that in itself it was really a challenge because we have to bring in power and network and mount the boards and take out the old whiteboards and put new whiteboards up. So just so you're aware, in total in the district now we have 131 of these interactive boards in the district. So we're moving very close to having full saturation. The places that need them next really are our existing Wyndham Middle School and the high school. But our lower grades are all pretty well saturated with between 80 and 90% of the rooms having those boards. So with one more year, we should have full saturation in all our K6 classrooms.
Just not everybody knows what a BenQ board is, so for anybody watching, could you give a brief explanation of exactly what you're talking about?
Real simply, if you would think of taking your iPad that you have, that you interact with and you can put stuff on, then make it 75 inches large, put it on the wall on a display on a mount that will raise it up and down so the littles can drop it way down and can interact with it. It's a touch screen. The teachers can broadcast their content onto it. They can go onto the web and broadcast content into it. And it's extremely durable. And it allows you to split the screen, have kids actually do work together. You can do math problems. You can say 2 + 4, and you actually can work it out. I know about this much content, and we have some amazing teachers who are taking that technology and going to really push the limits with it. And again, I'm happy to get you in touch with some of those teachers that are doing that. But I think it's just a real nice move in the future that we can really use this technology to help engage the kids. It's not. Before we had a projector you could look at, right? And then with smart boards we could kind of interact with, but they were a little clumsy. This is really the next step. So really very excited about that. So we are in the process of other things that we're doing. We're going through a bit of a painful but a much needed camera system upgrade throughout the district. We're almost there. It's with procurement issues. It's been a challenge, but we'll have a new platform, and we've got new storage and new upgraded cameras that start to have analytics in them. It means we can actually start to see and track things. So when we're having an issue, we can see what's going on. So it's again, technology moves forward. Other things that have been big that are happening right now, you probably see that we dug up around the main campus. We're actually laid the groundwork for new fiber optic cables to get from the district office through to the middle school. So we have new fiber connectivity. The connectivity that was there, I think, was put in by the National Guard back, might have been, 92, 93. So that's there. If you go behind the middle school, you see the exterior ADA work is almost done. The fencing still needs to come in, but we now can successfully walk from the middle school to Field Allen, meeting all ADA requirements. I'm really pleased with that. We're also almost done with the upgrades to the middle school bathrooms to provide us with now 4 more spaces that are ADA compliant for bathrooms. There was really only 1 before, or actually 2, but now we have 4 more. So. Again, those projects have been challenged by supply chain and availability of resources and work. Another couple big projects. A boiler is almost installed up at Manchester, so that's our second new boiler up there. So that plant will be done. Primary school, the second floor bathrooms now have all been renovated. I think Becca probably would be happy to know that now those are all done. Before we've had a huge, those were brand new in 1988.
Because I'm on the first one.
Exactly, right? So the good news is those have all been renovated. So we've been able to refresh those. Again, they were brand new in 88, so they've been there for a long time. We haven't done any of the renovations on the first floor bathrooms yet, and that's by design because as we look at the possibility of moving pre-K in, we may need to alter the design of those classrooms and the sizes of those bathrooms. If we need to put in changing tables, what have you. So we're purposely holding off on the first floor. But again, it's time. Anyone who's had a bathroom that's been in commercial use for, since '88, that's a while. 30+ years. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Up in Raymond, a couple of things you'd notice if you went to Jordan Small. You see that we did do some paving in the bus lane and the parking area that was long overdue to get done. So thank you for that money we put into the capital reserve for that. And the big project at RES was removing the underground water tank. So now our water storage is now inside the building. The reason that was important, the water tank was a source of potential contamination outside. And now that's all inside, so we can also monitor the levels too. And I'm actually going to be tying that into our digital control system, which I can monitor, so I'll know get alarms when water levels are low, or if there's a water flow occurring when it's not supposed to. So those are all things we didn't have before. So there's a lot more things I could talk about tonight, and I don't want to keep you folks too late. If you have specific questions on things that has occurred in the campus, I'm happy to meet and talk with you about it. Again, I couldn't do the work that we've done without the great work of our staff and some really amazing contractors that made things happen in spite of some real challenges of supply chain and just availability of resources. So with that, I'll open up to any questions that you may have.
Well, first of all, I'll say thank you to you and your crew for your efforts. It's always amazing how much you get done in such a short period of time. But a couple of things that I was curious about. First of all, when you do the BenQ and you replace the existing technology there, I'm just curious what happens with those assets.
Great question. So we work with Jason Records, who is our consultant, and he'll evaluate the projectors. And if they have reached end of life, and I will tell you most of them have, and actually most of them have gone beyond end of life, then they will be disposed of e-waste. If they're still usable, we maintain those and we keep those. And we've had discussion on what to do when we have no longer have a need for those and we still have projectors that have life available to them.
Yeah, I was curious about that because, I mean, we're very, very fortunate in this district, I feel, to have the technology that we do. And I know there's other schools in the state that aren't as fortunate. So if there's a way that we can make sure that these things aren't just getting discarded.
Yeah, and even at Wyndham High School, because I came across a pile of projectors at Wyndham High School, and they were ones that, first of all, I think Deb had purchased in 2007 out of building funds in order to get projectors on the ceiling. But it was just interesting being with a couple employees who were looking at it for a different classroom space and were going to plug it in and it didn't work, go and try another one plugging in. So the ones that were there were e-waste worthy, that they had reached that kind of end of life. But I know Deb made an investment when she was principal at Wyndham High School on trying to get one in every teaching space.
All right, good. And then the other thing that I was curious about is where do we stand in terms of the spending of the revolving renovation funds?
Great question. I didn't mention that tonight.
And just just
good.
Ballpark figure. I didn't expect you to have.
We're doing well. Revolving renovation projects that are completed are the asbestos abatement at Jordan Small. And the good news is when we did the renovations in Field Allen, we found some additional asbestos that was concealed behind the ceilings that were there. And the state allowed us to continue to use that revolving renovation money to pay for that removal. So that was great because it was money that I looked at as found money that we got the work done that we had already planned on spending. So that was good. The area that the ADA work will be done with the middle school this summer. The area that I haven't got a lot of progress yet is on the security upgrades in Jordan Small. We did a refresh on that design, and it's going to be focusing on changing exterior doors and improving the perimeter doors, and that work's been ready to bid out, so that's not done. So that is the only project remaining that really has not moved ahead. Other than that, we're pretty much going to be done this summer with all projects with the exception of that, and the fire alarm upgrades are in process right now.
All right, good.
Those are scheduled to be done, working with the DOE, hopefully by April of this year.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
That was it.
Can you just give the board a preview of RES Power?
Great question. As you may or may not be aware, when the RES was constructed, they brought in 2 single-phase services. So that means I only have single-phase 240 or 220 and 110-volt service available. The most commercial equipment runs on 3-phase equipment, particularly if you want to go larger air handling equipment or HVAC, even boilers. And the way we've managed that at RES is we use what's called a variable speed drive to create a false 3-phase power from single phase. So it actually creates that 3-phase power that we need. We've been looking at a project of improving the ventilation at RES to include cooling as well. As you're aware, 2 years ago we had to send kids home because we were above a heat index, and we do monitor that. And with the recommendations from ASHRAE around improving filtration, those air handlers aren't capable to move to MERV 13. I can't provide the airflow that I need if I do that because your pressure drop would increase as you go to higher MERV filters. So we're working on a project and we're using some of our federal funding to upgrade the power on the site to 3-phase power. It's the first step of going to the second portion of that project, which would be to upgrade the HVAC. So our goal is, and next summer is going to be a real challenge for us. I don't want to give you there's an iceberg in the water, and we're heading towards it, okay? And that we're looking at upgrading the three-phase power at RES. It would be a summer-long project. CMP's already given us a quote for that. We have that pricing, but it's a major undertaking to change that building to three-phase. On top of that, we're looking at Manchester HVAC upgrades and primary school HVAC upgrades. So I'm already starting to talk now about how we can do summer programming, because Manchester, primary school, and RES will all be shut down. So that's going to have a huge impact on how we deliver our summer programming next year. The great news is once those projects will be behind us, we're going to be in a really good place. So that will be the challenge. And the plan would be after the three phases in, so the summer of '24, we'd be doing the HVAC upgrade at RES. It would be a two-phase project. And why that is that the equipment for Manchester for next summer, we ordered back in July of this year, and it's going to get here just about July of next year. So even if we wanted to do RES upgrade right now, we wouldn't get the equipment in time to get it done in that 8-week window that we really have to try to hit. So I'm excited about, because the nice thing is once we have three-phase power, we're a commercial building. So it makes a lot of the equipment and stuff much more ready, available, and it's a normal product. So, but it's a significant cost. The good news is that the federal funding will pay for a majority of the portion of the project, and I'll come and present to you the financials once we're there. We are working with Allied Engineering on that project. If you recall, Allied is the engineering firm that we're building our new middle school. I've already had a chance to work with Allied on the HVAC side of things. And so we've kind of developed understanding and a relationship, and I've worked together. So I'm really excited about having them work on our project. And I'll get a chance to work on the electrical group at Allied as well. So even so, the switchgear and things we have to buy has somewhere between a 10 and 11-month lead time. So I'm even worried we're going to get that done next summer. And we may have to put that off a year based on when that can come in. But so that's coming. Those are the kind of the three big projects in the future that we're going to be working on next summer. I'm sure there'll be others, but those will be the three that will be taking the limelight. Any other questions?
Thank you, Bill.
Well, again, thank you for your continued support, both from support from the board, but also from a financial standpoint. I can't do this job without your support. And again, right now we're looking at having $200 million worth of assets, which I need to recalculate for you because we're talking about a new middle school. It's going to be over $100 million. So when we have that kind of asset out there to maintain that, it's not a small dollar to keep that in good shape. But I feel really good that in the time I've been here, as the board's allowed us to really get to a place where our PMs are getting down, our equipment is being maintained. We still have our challenges, but they're few and far between. So thank you for your continued support.
Please thank your staff.
Will do. Thank you.
We're going to move into curriculum, and I'm going to invite Christine Hessler, Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment, to come up and talk to us about cursive.
This okay?
Sure.
So I didn't know.
Oh.
This is for
This is a new one.
It should pop up on the screen.
What went on? He turned that on. I don't think he turned that on.
Oh, wait, who was that? Yeah, that was on
Oh,
earlier.
never mind.
There you go.
Oh, look at that.
Magic.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me tonight to revisit our cursive conversation. Just as an update for Jess, we are going to meet Monday night. After this meeting, I will update the curriculum website, which is updated with all our dates for our meetings for the rest of the year. It will have our agenda for Monday and a Zoom link if anybody wants to Zoom in and listen. Our agenda will be posted, and then when our meeting is done, we also post the minutes, and this presentation will be posted. So if you've perused our site, you'll see agenda, and then you'll see minutes, and then you'll see update. So whatever the committee has decided, an update comes to the board, or it goes through Mr. Howell, or it goes through Jess. We'll put those up there so that you can see that at any time. So yes, Jess, you do a really good job with that. So. I also wanted to share that I had the great pleasure of being in Raymond today and was able to spend some time at Jordan Small. And then I was able to be there for the very first assembly at Raymond Elementary School, for the first one in 2 years, which was magical, with our pre-K learners all the way up to grade 4. And our 4th graders remembered the songs that they traditionally did. So it was a really nice morning to see, like Al said, I saw your mom too, just how things felt like we were back and kids were excited and staff were excited, and there's nothing like watching pre-K and K students on their first day all together. Was really, really great. So what I have for you tonight, the purpose of our update, if you remember back to the spring, and for those that were new, this was a discussion point that came up, is to provide the board with information regarding the instruction of cursive writing. So I've included the Department of Education's information, the legislative stand that was taken, and also at the end I'll provide the board with a recommendation on cursive instruction from our committee. So I want to take you through the process so you have that information. So this is really wordy, and I apologize, but there is some history with cursive instruction. And in 2019, the main learning results revision process was underway. RSU 14 will be doing our own revision on ELA and social studies standards this year. So our meetings are really going to be encompassing all of those. So the Joint Standing Committee submitted a letter to Commissioner Macon, all of you remember Pender, in regard to LD 387. That was an act to require cursive handwriting instruction in grades 3 to 5. So I want you to understand the history behind all the things that come up about cursive. So as the ELA literacy review went through, the committee considered the recommendation to require cursive writing instruction, and in bold is the committee's decision was to best address the intent of students being able to communicate and read cursive writing as a 21st century skill, and the clarification of types of text should be added in the preamble to the reading and writing strands rather than a performance indicator by grade level. So they put it into the preamble with all that. So here is the writing preamble. It talks about the modes and forms across all of the disciplines, whether it is print, cursive, typing, as well as the use of technology that had been missing from the preamble in the last revision of the learning results. So it encompasses everything at this point for that piece. So the legislative decision in 387, it was voted, ought not to pass. The revisions of the main learning results were adopted by the Maine State Legislature and signed by the governor in 2020. Those are the ones we'll be looking at this year. And it does the approval of the content of curriculum as instruction in reading and writing of cursive are the responsibility of local school boards. So this is not anything that is in the Maine State learning results. It is in the preamble. So our committee has all that information. So this is our recommendation after our discussions, looking at articles. Based on the information provided, the committee recognizes and recommends the following: that signature is important in the 21st century. Other aspects of cursive writing are not needed in 21st century jobs. We would recommend grade 3 to teach, and grades 4 to 8 to reinforce and provide practice and clear expectations. For example, sign your artwork in creations, sign your worksheets, any written products, use signature when submitting Google Docs. Our next steps is for myself and my coaches. I love saying that now. We'll work with grade 3 staff to design and implement a signature instruction in the classroom as formal instruction. We will gather resources, meet with staff to find instructional time and how we can work that in our schedules, and we'll also provide professional development in the materials to do this work if this is what the board agrees upon to do. So we also have tons of resources. We do have the famous curriculum committee website, right, Jess? That's out there. The new ELA standards, you'll hear me talk an awful lot about those this year. I do have the history and the EL revisions and all the legislative decision if you'd like to read it in depth. And then there's a meta-analysis article on handwriting and cursive writing. So I wanted to provide you also with an opportunity. And then one of the graphics is you can see our May 10th meeting, our agendas, our minutes, and then this presentation will be under your next steps. So our recommendation is to work with our coaches, including our technology coach, which sounds a little crazy, but actually technology now has a great way of teachers to use in order to print things in order for students to practice cursive. We now have a new literacy coach in elementary, so she will jump on board. We will meet with grade 3, and we will work out a plan of how to involve cursive signature into the instruction of our learners. And happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
Thank you for doing a great job.
You're welcome.
I do.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to teach the kids how to sign their name, period.
Yes.
That's all, nothing more. The more letters you have in your name, the more letters you'll be able to know and read.
We are going to formally teach signature. Whether or not teachers, which I've already heard from, students like to do cursive, and so they provide opportunities for them to do that, but we will not be teaching formal paragraph writing in cursive or papers in
alphabet.
cursive. Well, they'll learn most of the alphabet doing their names, but they'll have other opportunities. But we're going to focus on the cursive of the signature.
Right, but, okay, I want to go back to what you just said. So they're going to do the signature, and I get that piece. So how, in doing their signature, do they do all of the letters? It's only the letters that are in their name, so they don't do the alphabet.
No, we will not be teaching the entire alphabet. We do not have time in our day. And that was loud and clear with our teachers.
Well, it's a small win, but I'll take it. Because it's very because it's really embarrassing when you go somewhere, because I've taken my grandkids places and they have to sign, and they said, I don't know how to sign my name, because it wants your signature.
Yep.
So this, to me, is a big win. It's not a small one. It's a big win.
Maybe we can add their middle names in there, Marge.
Yeah, maybe get more letters in, especially with kids with big, long names.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you.
You're
Well,
welcome.
and I would imagine there'd be some, I mean, again, I'm not creating the curriculum and I'm not the coach, but I would imagine that there is some collaboration, and I'm looking at how you do a G and I don't have a G in my last name, so maybe there's a little bit of recognition happening there. So while they're not getting the full alphabet, they may get other letters.
Well, it would be nice if they could read the paperwork that's out there, which they can't, but I'm happy for signatures.
Yeah,
Thank
I mean,
you.
if you have 20 kids in the classroom, that's 20 different names. You think about, I think most of the letters would probably be covered because she's going to teach it all at the same time, right?
Yeah.
He or she. So yes, I think most of it would get covered. Maybe
And
not a
and
cue.
lots of kids like to take, if they have a morning work or they finish something, teachers have some templates for them to practice different things. And so that was the discussion also that third grade teachers had, is we've never had anything formal to use. We've never had an endpoint to use. So now if we're really mastering signature and kids are excited, they could also provide them with some things that they could take home and do for cursive writing.
And
But the instruction is going to stay
hopefully
with
parents
it.
would get involved.
And hopefully they would. So, but that's, again, where some cool technology pieces that Susie has already thought of, and Richie, that they could send home with parents or send something and say, hey, if you want to print out everyone's family name for Thanksgiving in cursive and have them trace it, there you go. Here you can do it. So you know me, Marge. We'll get creative with it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have consensus from the board that we want the curriculum committee to proceed with this?
And we'll come back to the committee with our plan of implementation, and
That'd
maybe
be
bring
great.
some teachers forward to see what's being done, so you as a board can have that kind of closure on this topic.
Perfect.
That works.
Perfect. Thank you to your committee, and just have to say your website is
Thank
pretty
you.
darn good.
Thank you.
It's very good. Thanks for coming tonight.
You're welcome.
Item number 11, RSU 14 Strategic Plan. Chris Hall and Christine Frostburton, Superintendent and Assistant Superintendent, will give us an update on our strategic plan.
It's so slow to recognize. Now it's showing. Earlier it wasn't doing second screen, and now it is.
Hope I didn't break it.
No, you could just-
You left a beautiful view behind you.
I'm just gonna
There.
go.
There we go. That's what I need, Marge.
It's weird, when I came in tonight, it didn't require the second screen, and then it just went to second screen. As I shared in my opening remarks for superintendent's report, part of opening day is also to set what are the district goals and what are the elements of district work that we're going to be touching upon this year. And we had the opportunity to work this summer as an administrative team independently, and then also with Michelle Milstein, who is from Great Schools Partnership. Michelle has served as a facilitator for us for the last couple of years that we've worked through the strategic planning process. And for those who are unfamiliar with the strategic plan, March 5th, 2020 was the night that we held the community forum for our strategic plan, and we had roughly 60 or so community members representing a wide variety of individuals across the community come and talk about what did they have for a vision for a graduate of RSU 14. What are the skills they wanted kids to have, and what were the elements of our strategic plan? And we all know that on March 13th, 2020, the school district shut down for the spring of that year. But the Strategic Planning Committee soldiered on. We continued to meet virtually, believe it or not, for the next 2 years as we work through what were the core beliefs that our community identified, that they saw as things that we wanted to work on. I will tell you throughout that process, and I'm guessing most of the kids have graduated, some of the most powerful voices in that community forum was actually our students who had the opportunity to come. We had representatives from student council as well as other student forums and groups who came and participated and basically said, here's who we are as the ones that you're serving. Here's what it is that we want to be able to see. The strategic plan, timing is everything, and this strategic plan has had an interesting set of timing. So we set this and kicked it off March 5th of 2020. It was voted on by the board on August 5th of 2021, which was the same night as the community was having discussion of whether or not we should mask for the return of school. That's right. Unfortunately, it kind of slid to the back as far as things that we talked about that night, and it almost became an afterthought for what it is that we went ahead and adopted. But it is a great document, it's a powerful document, and it reflects what the communities of Wyndham and Raymond said for RSU 14 schools, what it is that we should be working on. And so we have been working as an administrative team, and committees and subcommittees throughout the district have been working on elements of the strategic plan throughout the course of the past year. If you go to the RSU 14 website, click on strategic plan, there's a progress report that's constantly being updated on what's within the strategic plan, what elements have been completed, what some of the work, and it actually goes building by building by building so that you can see what groups have been working on. So for those of you who have not had a chance to peruse, please go ahead and do that, but it's basically broken down the mission, the core beliefs, the focus areas for 22-23, and then kind of working through some of the action steps that we're going to be looking at for this year. But going to our mission, RSU 14 is committed to establishing a safe, supportive, and inclusive community. Just to shorthand that, it means we're going to support all learners in RSU 14. And we're going to take you as far as we can. That's our ultimate goal. Developing strong partnerships, and hopefully we'll have a chance this year as we spend and focus on time on some of the curriculum things. Lorraine Glausick, through some additional opportunities as one of our community coordinator, are working on some of those partnerships, but how are we developing strong partnerships to support every learner as they gain knowledge, skills, and character to thrive and contribute in an ever-changing, diverse world? We want our kids to know what's going on in their communities. We want our kids serving in their community. And we want them to have the opportunity, especially our older students, that as they move on, we want them exploring their careers. The Capstone Project, which is, I think, supported by this board back in the graduation requirement, I want to say 2016 is when it was first adopted. has had that as a goal, as an aim, to get our kids involved in the community and to support our community. I know people have heard me say this many, many times, but I'm thankful to work in communities of Wyndham and Raymond for their level of support of public education and the opportunities that they provide our students. The business owners, the nonprofits, the other groups that are out there that have provided opportunity for our kids to go out and serve and work, and it's been great. And then fostering learner aspirations through engagement and authentic and diverse learning experiences. The new middle school, Wyndham Middle School's been working on this, Jordan Small's been working on this, Manchester School, project-based learning. How do we create authentic learning opportunities for our kids so that we're connecting the curriculum, we're making it live for them, and we're making it engaging? So moving to our core beliefs. This is what came out of our community forum, and organizing the sixth belief includes goals and key indicators of success. Boards tend to like indicators of success, those milestones, those markers, those items that allow you to say, is the district making any progress towards our strategic plan, or what elements still need to be worked on? And then the strategies and action steps. We've been organizing them, we've been separating them out in buildings, we've been looking at ways to support. And ultimately, we want to do is make sure that there is great alignment across the RSU as we implement the strategic plan. And so I think at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Christine for some of our focus areas for this year.
So last year, if you remember, and Chris talked about the progress monitoring spreadsheet that you can look at every school and see how administrators were documenting their progress. Thanks, Al. And it was year one of a 5-year strategic plan. And our reflections at the end of last year were that while there was a lot of progress made, we really needed to laser in on a few areas. So Michelle Milstein returned and supported our work, thinking deeply about how far we'd come, areas where we really needed to grow or push ourselves, and identified through a lot of concept map work these 3 areas of really lasering in on equity and student engagement. Is every student highly engaged? Do we have an equitable, inclusive school community for all? And the third area, really focusing on our instructional framework. And so we then returned, and you can go to the next slide, to the core beliefs to identify which core beliefs we're going to spend a lot of our time working on as an administrative team this year. That doesn't mean the other areas won't be worked on at the individual school levels by varying committees, but that as a team, we will really focus on these areas. So when the principals come to present, and assistant principals, whoever presents to you their building goals, you'll see the alignment with these focus areas. So core beliefs 1, 2, and 3, we're lasering in on this year. The first being equity and inclusion. And on the next slide, you'll see an overarching statement that was developed around this particular goal for this year to guide our work. So during school year 22-23, each school program across the RSU will focus on ensuring that every student has a strong sense of belonging. And there are those italicized statements to capture what we mean by that. I belong in this academic community. I understand the social, emotional, and academic skills needed to be a contributing member of my school and broader community. And then you'll see specifically in core belief 1, the action steps that we pulled out to focus in on this year. So this is not all inclusive. You can see the inclusive list on the website in core belief 1, but we will really spend time working on 1D, which is creating a community of professional and student learners where all feel safe, valued, and achieve at high levels. 1D1, develop and administer a school-based culture and climate assessment tool. That might be in the form of a survey to really have a sense of how both staff and students are feeling about that school community. And a process for reviewing that assessment data. So what are we collecting? What do we need to know? And then what do we do in response to that data? 1D2, creating and maintaining a forum to honor diverse student voices. So individual schools and programs will outline the specific manner in which they obtain student input and the frequency with which they do so. So student voice, as Chris spoke about, was really important in the strategic planning process. Student voice will continue to be at the front. It's not just adults sitting and thinking about this work, but is our thinking matching what we're hearing from students and their experience? 1D3 is us all working on identifying academic achievement and opportunity gaps as we look at our multi-tiered systems of supports. So what supports do we have in place? Where do we see gaps? What story is the data telling us? What story is the attendance data, any behavioral data, academic achievement data? Who's participating in what sports, in what extracurricular activities? What data do we have that tells a story about student engagement and participation across the RSU at all levels? And the last one in that particular core belief, we're going to work on analyzing, as I just talked, that participation, but then tying it back to the overarching goal of equity and inclusion. And if you go to the next, so there's a lot of overlap between the core beliefs. In particular, you'll see with core belief 1 and core belief 2, whole child. It's that idea of looking at not just academic performance data, but you're looking at social, emotional. A lot of those conversations we had throughout the pandemic around the mental health of our students, staff, community. So really weaving all of those components into how we think about programming and supports that we have in place. So the specific action steps we pulled out, there are two. That same overarching statement applies, but the two that we're going to laser in on, one being to ensure that a curriculum is designed and maintains a balance between the academic, social, and emotional needs of every child. That's a lot of the work that Christine Hesser will be doing with teams of administrators and educators at the table as they look at ELA and social studies standards this year. So that she'll be leading a lot of that work. 2B1, develop an instructional framework that supports the development of academic, social, and emotional growth of our students. For the last 3 years, there have been administrators, instructional coaches, technology integrators, library media specialists joining together to work on the development of a clearly articulated instructional framework that keeps student engagement at the center of all that we're doing. So we've developed that. We have a homegrown tool that we have made into an online walkthrough tool that we can use to gather data. And so we'll be talking a lot about not the tool, but the instructional framework and how we engage with our colleagues in conversations around high-yield instructional practices where students are engaged, the learning is deep, there's a high level of rigor, and so that work will be happening this year systemically. And
You want to go ahead, or you want me to?
well, sorry, it's the last one. Go ahead.
And what Christine, actually, the whole purpose for doing any sort of instructional framework is looking at engagement strategies and also looking at rigor within the classroom to make sure that the academic standards that we are continuing to push students and continuing to support students, and then making sure that the activities and the learning experiences we create are as engaging as possible. And we know the importance of, again, and I mentioned it earlier tonight, is that a student who has a strong relationship with their teacher feels safe, feels supported. That's one of those entry points for them being able to then reach to high student engagement and having kids that are connected. And if you have the opportunity, in fact, I'd love this year, because it's been difficult the last couple of years for board members to visit schools, but to get board members out in classrooms, you can see definitely throughout our classrooms in the RSU where the relationships are built, and there's that opportunity to foster that high engagement. So just going to some of those action step areas, looking at 3F, establishing a district-wide instructional framework that supports high engagement and deep learning for all students. We've had a chance to work on that. Actually, there's a group that worked on it over the past 2 years, past 3 years, looking at that instructional framework, and our coaches and assistant principals, the Christines and Lisa, had an opportunity to take that this past year and just kind of refine it to a deeper point. Developing a communication rollout plan that engages all stakeholders, and that opportunity to look at the instructional framework became a conversation across all of our buildings through those professional development days that started out the year. Develop a data collection system that supports progress monitoring towards instructional goals and making sure that we actually are achieving the things that we wanted to achieve in the strategic plan. And I know that's been a frustration of board members, and I think it's been a frustration of my own and some of our past strategic plans, is that some of the goals did not have the specifics, and it felt like we weren't quite sure when we'd actually met a goal. And so trying to make sure that we are keeping everyone up to date, showing the data that we're collecting, and then developing a coaching feedback model and cycle for teachers. Ultimately, what happens in the classroom with a staff member who is confident and familiar with the curriculum, who is able to engage students, and that ultimately is going to lead to high student achievement. Whatever level of achievement that it might be for that student. So as Christine mentioned, committee and the group have been working on a walkthrough tool, non-evaluative, because part of what we want to do is collect some data and create some internal feedback for if we set an instructional model for standards and feedback and for high levels of instruction, are we even coming close to meeting it? Where are the areas that we feel like we need to offer some additional professional development? And then can we track over time? Are we making progress towards that instructional framework and doing some of the things that go along with that? I believe at the next board meeting, which is, 2 weeks from tonight, all the administrators will be here, as well as the program directors. We'll have a chance to talk through their goals. I think what you'll hear is some strong alignment to what we've walked through tonight. I think it would also be an opportunity for the board to ask questions from some of the building administrators as far as what are the things that you're highlighting with your staff, what are the things that you are looking to accomplish. And also, I think some great question to ask is that how will you know that you've actually accomplished it? So, glad to take any questions.
Any questions? Nope. Well, thank you very much. It's a good start for our understanding of what the work is for the strategic plan going forward, and look forward to the updates as they come along. Next up, item 12. I have a motion, please.
I move to approve the educational specifications for the new RSU 14 middle school.
Second.
Any comment from the public? Before I go to board discussion, I wonder if you could just give a brief summary.
Sure. I've shared this so many times, but it's so exciting to have it. Our middle school project is a state-approved project. Let me say it again. Our project is a state-approved project. They were in this last rating cycle, only 5 schools have moved forward out of the 80 or so that were rated on the list. So our project is the last one that's currently gone through an approval process, which means that the state of Maine will be collectively paying for a majority of the costs associated with this building. With that process, though, there are specific steps that need to be followed through with the design, and the state wants to make sure before they make an investment, and the state's investment in this project will probably be in the neighborhood of between $80 and $100 million of public tax dollars, to make sure that we are clear about the vision for the type of education that's going to be offered within this building. In addition, they want to make sure that we are looking not only 5 years out, but are you looking 20, 40, 50 years out? And also wanting us to look at, this will become a community asset for Windham and Raymond. So looking at, are we even thinking about how can the community engage with this building, and then how can we use it for community use over time? And so they've asked us to go through a process where we look at what is the vision. When the building was when we first notified in 2018 that we had made the state list, and working with the architect at that time, the question was, what are some things that we can do so that when our project moves forward that we're already kind of ahead of the game? And he suggested that you start working on your educational specifications. And so in the fall of 2019, we actually started working on this process. Dr. Frank Locker, who's been to some board meetings, has held visioning sessions with Wyndham Middle School staff, Jordan Small staff, combined Wyndham Middle School, Jordan Small, combined Wyndham Middle School, Jordan Small, Manchester staff, and has helped guide us through what is it that we're looking to do. And some of the themes that I think, if you've had a chance to read, small learning communities. We know this is going to be a large building, but we want to have students in smaller segments where they feel that sense of community. Project-based learning, where developing highly engaged students through creating real-world projects that they can work on. The integration of applied arts, which is technology through STEM, through art, and through, not health education courses, through technology, looking at ways that those things can be integrated in, and then looking at what are the performing arts spaces, the physical spaces, the athletic spaces, the community spaces, the outdoor learning, all of those different elements. So we were asked to go through a process of a series of questions. Get a chance to read through the full document. You notice a lot of redundancy throughout the document, but it's an opportunity for the community to say, here's what it is, and for our educators to say, here's what our vision is for the building. Our complete document has been reviewed by the state construction team. They were very complimentary of how it had been written, how well thought it was, and just a big thank you to Peter Hill and to Drew Patton, who worked countless hours. Michelle has been brought in now for Jordan Small. Randy had some work initially on with that, but as we've worked through the ed specs, but just there was a lot of work done on their end in order to make sure that that was done. So what the state is looking for from us as part of this project, I think it's step 7 of 21, which is the educational specifications, is looking for the board to say, yes, we agree with those and that we can move on. We will also have the opportunity to bring a finalized space allocation document to all of you, which is what are the spaces as we work through, it's a negotiation process, what are spaces are going to be state funded and what spaces are actually going to be locally funded. But I know we've talked about these ed specs for a while. I know you've had a chance to interact with Dr. Frank Locker throughout the process, but this has been a good 3 years working to develop the vision for what is our new middle school.
Thank you. Any board discussion? I know this was all in your packet, this meaty little document. And you're right, there are some redundancies, but it is well done, and kudos to Drew and Peter and to your input for putting this together. And with no further ado, all those in favor? Thank you. We're going to move on to item 13, which is appointments. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the following appointments for the 2022-2023 school year. Kathy Kelso, psychologist, Wyndham Primary School, MA 28, $74,136.18, prorated from $88,197. Catherine Smith, psychologist, Wyndham Middle School, MA 23, $70,239.44, prorated from $83,560.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Howell, are these replacements?
Both of these are replacements. The first, I can't remember which one is which. One is replacing a full-time position. The other one is replacing a close to full-time position that one was a retirement, another one was a relocation for a person. This will then get us to a full slate of school psychologists within the district. And we're excited about welcoming these two individuals to our district.
My understanding is we're pretty lucky to have gotten both of these individuals. Any public comment? Any board discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Item number 14, lease purchase of school van. May I have a motion, please?
I move to authorize the superintendent to enter into the financing agreement for the lease purchase of the awarded bid for one school van and all associated accessories through Androscoggin Savings Bank at $35,676.50 at 3.89% fixed, amortized over 4 years at an annual cost of $9,435.99. Should that be in the best interest of the district pursuant to 20A MRSA subsection 4001-3 in the format presented. Note that through competitive bidding, Bill Dodge, Auto Group Westbrook, and Androscoggin Bank of Lewiston are the low responsible bidders.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment or discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Item number 15, policies. A motion, please.
I move to approve the second revised reading of policy JLCD, administering medication to students.
Seconded.
Any public comment or discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. And another motion, please.
Yeah, I move to approve the second revised reading of policy JICIA, weapons, violence, and school safety.
Second.
Thank you. Public comment, board discussion. All those in favor? Thank you. Item number 16, report of the secretary.
I move to approve the minutes of the August 17th, 2022 meeting.
Second.
Public comment, board discussion. All those in favor? Thank you. And we have reached the end of the meeting. May I have an adjournment, please?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. Thanks very much. Good night.